The day before her 65th birthday, Mary opened an envelope from Fidelity. Her husband's retirement account was supposed to hold $420,000. It held $28,000. For 35 years, she never touched that account. Never checked. Never doubted. Because Ron, her husband, every December would show her a little spreadsheet. Everything's on track, honey. We retire at 65. The spreadsheets were real. The numbers in them were not. Ron had been pulling money out for years through hardship withdrawals, early distributions, funneling it into a business venture that went under back in 2016. This story isn't just about betrayal. It's a blueprint. Because Mary, a real woman from Cincinnati, Ohio, went from $28,000 in her account to full financial independence in 23 months. No inheritance. No lottery. No help from her ex-husband. And in this video, every single step, every number, every strategy she used, including 3 that most financial advisors simply won't tell you about. Mary Davis, 64 years old, a nurse for 31 years at the same hospital. Salary at the time she left, $62,000 a year. 2 grown kids, Caitlin in Columbus, Jason in Denver. Mortgage paid off. Car 11 years old. Ron was a mechanical engineer. Earned more, $85,000. He opened his 401k, that's a retirement savings account through your employer, back in '91. Every month, automatic contributions. Plus the company kicked in their share, what's called a match. By 65, the 2 of them were supposed to have around $700,000 between them. That was enough. With Social Security on top, they were looking at a comfortable $5,000 a month. Not luxury, but dignity. Mary never got involved in the finances. Not because she couldn't, because she trusted. And the hardest part of this whole story, Ron wasn't a villain. He didn't gamble the money away. He didn't hide it in some offshore account. He genuinely believed the business would take off and he'd put it all back. He didn't. And Mary was left alone. No pensión. No plan. No time. What she did next goes against everything the so-called experts recommend in situations like this. Let's break down the scale of the damage. The 401k had $28,000. Mary's own traditional IRA, her personal retirement account, held another $41,000. Savings account, $9,000. Total, $78,000 for 2 people. They were supposed to have $700. You know what that means in retirement terms? Under the 4% rule, the classic benchmark for how much you can withdraw each year without running out, $78,000 gives you $3,120 a year. $260 a month. That's less than your electric and internet bill combined. But that evening, Mary wasn't doing math. Mary was screaming. Caitlin told the story later. Her mother called at 11 p.m. Voice was steady. Too steady. I need you to come. Not tomorrow. Now. Caitlin drove 2 hours down the highway from Columbus in the dark. Ron had already left for his sister's place. Mary was sitting at the kitchen table with 3 sheets of paper. The Fidelity statement, their joint tax return from the previous year, and the Social Security calculator open on her phone. She wasn't crying. She was calculating. And this is what you need to understand. Mary wasn't financially illiterate. She was financially disengaged. That's a massive difference. Literacy is knowledge. Disengagement is a choice not to look. And millions of people make that choice every single day. According to Fidelity's data from the 4th quarter of 2025, half of Americans with a 401k have less than $34,000 in it. That's the median. The average is $146,400. Feel the gap? A handful of people with millions are pulling that average up. Most people are down at the bottom. 1 week later, a lawyer. 2 weeks later, a certified financial planner. Linda Chun, CFP, out of Cincinnati. At their very first meeting, Linda told Mary something she didn't expect. Word for word. Forget about the $420,000. It's gone. The question isn't how much you lost. The question is how much you can build in 24 months. Linda drew 3 columns on a notepad. First column, what you have. Second, what you can add. Third, what you can optimize. That third column changed everything. But before we get to the plan, one more number Mary didn't know until that evening. The estimated cost of healthcare in retirement for a couple, according to Fidelity, is $330,000. That's the price of a house in Indianapolis. Just for doctors. Divorce. A word Mary spoke out loud for the first time in her life at 64. The lawyer explained, Ohio is an equitable distribution state. That doesn't mean 50-50. It means fair in the eyes of the court. And after 4 months of negotiations, this is what came out. Mary got the house. No mortgage, market value at the time, $280,000. Her own IRA, $41,000. Half of what was left in the 401k, $14,000. And, this matters, a portion of Ron's future Social Security payments through something called a divorced spouse benefit. If the marriage lasted 10 years or more, and theirs lasted 36, the former spouse is entitled to 50% of the other's Social Security benefit, even after the divorce, even if the other person objects. Ron objected. The law did not. So by the time the dust settled, Mary had this. A house, $55,000 across all accounts. The right to a spousal Social Security benefit. An absolutely zero retirement plan. Linda Chun looked at these numbers and said, Mary, there are 2 paths. First, sell the house, move in with your daughter, and stretch it. Second, use the next 23 months the way nobody uses them. Mary chose the second. And what happened next isn't a motivational fairy tale. It's math. Hard, precise, verifiable math. With specific limits, specific forms, and specific deadlines. Now pay attention. This is where it gets into territory that most financial advisors will never cover in a free consultation. Mary was 64, still working. Salary $62,000. Linda asked the question that flipped everything on its head. Have you ever contributed the maximum to your retirement account? Never. 31 years and not once. In 2026, the contribution limit for a 401k is $24,500. That's the ceiling for regular contributions. But Mary was 64. And for people over 50, there's an extra allowance. Another $8,000 on top. Total, $32,500. One thing worth knowing. Starting in 2026, a new rule from the Secure 2.0 Act kicks in. For people between 60 and 63, there's a so-called super catch-up. $11,250 instead of the standard $8,000. Not in addition to, instead of. Mary was 64, 1 year too old. She missed it. She didn't get the extra super catch-up. But she did get the $32,500. And this is what she did. She switched everything to automatic contributions. 52% of her paycheck went straight into the 401k. She lived on what was left, $29,000 a year. That's about $1,100 a week after taxes. Canceled cable, $120 a month, gone. Went down to 1 car. Switched from Kroger to Aldi. Small stuff on its own? Sure. Together, the difference between retiring in poverty and retiring with dignity. Now, Social Security. This is the part Mary calls the 47 minutes that were worth $130,000. Linda sat her down at the computer. Opened SSA.gov. The Social Security calculator. 47 minutes. 3 scenarios. Scenario 1. File at 62, the earliest possible age. Monthly payment, $1,380. That's roughly 70% of the full amount. Scenario 2. Wait until full retirement age. 67 for anyone born in 1960 or later. Monthly payment, $1,970. Scenario 3. Hold out until 70. $2,440. For every year you delay past 67, your benefit grows by 8%. Guaranteed. Not the stock market. The government. But Mary was divorced. And she had an ace up her sleeve. The divorced spouse benefit. 50% of Ron's Social Security. Ron earned more. His full benefit at 67 was $2,800. Linda's strategy. File for the spousal benefit at 67. Collect $1,400 a month based on Ron's record. and delay her own benefit until 70. 3 years of waiting. 3 years during which her own benefit grows at 8% annually. The difference between file at 62 and play your cards right by 70. $132,000 over 20 years of retirement. That's not theory. That's the SSA calculator. And a critical nuance that catches people off guard. Mary planned to keep working part-time until 67. But if you collect Social Security before full retirement age and earn income, for every $2 you earn above $24,480, they withhold $1 of your benefit. Sounds terrifying, right? The thing is, that money doesn't vanish. Once you hit full retirement age, your benefit gets recalculated upward to account for everything that was withheld. But the confusion around this costs people tens of thousands, because they panic and file early. The irony: the safest option turned out to be the most expensive. Mary spent 30 years contributing to a traditional IRA. She never paid taxes going in. But coming out at withdrawal, every dollar gets taxed as ordinary income. Linda explained, between leaving your job and age 73, there's a window. Income is low. Tax bracket is at the floor. That's the moment for a Roth conversion. A Roth IRA works the opposite way. You pay taxes now. But later, when you withdraw in retirement, zero taxes. Zero. And what's even more important, Roth withdrawals do not increase your taxable income, which means they don't trigger IRMAA, the Medicare surcharge for higher income retirees. IRMA. Remember that word. It sounds harmless. Costs thousands. Medicare Part B, the medical insurance for retirees, costs $203 a month in 2026. But if your income from 2 years prior exceeded $109,000 for a single filer, IRMAA kicks in. A surcharge. And it goes up in tiers. You could be paying not $203, but $400. Or close to $700. Mary converted $12,000 from her traditional IRA to a Roth in the first year. Paid about $1,400 in taxes at her bracket. For that, she bought herself tax-free growth for decades and protection from IRMAA. Linda called it $1,400 insurance that saves $50,000. And now, the strategy that nobody in HR ever brings up. HSA. Health Savings Account. Officially, it's for paying medical expenses. In practice, it's the most powerful retirement tool in the entire tax code. Why? Triple tax advantage. Contributions are tax-deductible. Growth is tax-free. Withdrawals for medical expenses are also tax-free. No other account in America gives you all three at the same time. The limit for 2026 for an individual plan is $4,400. For a family plan, $8,750. And if you're 55 or older, another $1,000 on top. Mary switched to a high-deductible health plan and opened an HSA. For $1,400 plus $1,000 on top. $5,400 a year. But the trick is this. She didn't spend a single dollar from it on current medical bills. She paid out of pocket. Saved the receipts. Because an HSA lets you reimburse yourself for medical expenses at any point in the future. Even 10 years later. The money, meanwhile, grows invested. Tax-free. The cost of not knowing about the HSA as a retirement tool, hundreds of thousands in taxes over 20 years of retirement. More than 80% of working Americans never take advantage of this. Let's put it all together. 23 months. This is what Mary built from the wreckage. The 401k after 2 years of maximum contributions plus employer match. $68,000. That's $24,500 plus $8,000 catch-up. $32,500 in contributions, plus 3% match from her employer. IRA after Roth conversions and additional contributions, another $47,000. The IRA limit is $7,500 a year, plus $1,100 catch-up for people over 50. HSA, $12,000 over 2 years and 2 months. Savings account, $9,000. Value of the house, $280,000. Total assets, $416,000. Plus Social Security through the spousal benefit and her own delayed benefit. And the key is this. Mary didn't sell the house. Did she do a reverse mortgage? No. She did something smarter. Mary had been going to church for 30 years. Every year she donated 2 or 3,000. And Linda said, "Do you know about QCD? Qualified Charitable Distribution. After age 70 and a half, you can transfer money directly from your IRA to a charity. That money is not counted as income at all. So you satisfy your required minimum distribution, your RMD, but instead of paying tax on it, you send it to your church and the IRS doesn't see that income. The annual limit adjusts for inflation each year, so check with your advisor for the current cap." Mary was already donating, but she was doing it from her wallet after paying taxes. QCD lets you give before taxes. The difference for Mary, roughly $800 a year in pure savings. Small? Over 20 years, $16,000. Plus a lower IRMAA threshold. Not one of the 3 financial advisors Mary spoke to before ever mentioned QCD. Linda explained why. QCD doesn't generate a commission for the advisor. No commission, no conversation. 65. Birthday. March 12th. Mary enrolled in Medicare on time, 3 months before her birthday. Part A free because she and Ron had paid payroll tax for more than 10 years. Part B, $203 a month in 2026, up almost 10% from the year before. Meanwhile, the Social Security Cost of Living Adjustment, COLA, was only 2.8%. Feel where the money's going. Linda added Medigap Plan G, supplemental insurance that covers almost everything except the annual Part B deductible. The deductible, $283 a year. The cost of Medigap, about $140 a month depending on your state and insurer. Sounds expensive? One hospital stay without it, the Part A deductible alone is $1,736. For one night, 23 months after that evening with the Fidelity envelope, Mary sat in the same chair, at the same kitchen table. In front of her, not her husband's statement, her own plan. On the laptop screen, the Social Security calculator. Spousal benefit $1,400 a month. At 70, her own benefit $2,300. The 401k and IRA on track. HSA growing. Medicare covered. Caitlin called. "Mom, how are you?" "I know my numbers," Mary said. "For the first time in my life, I know my numbers." The day before her 65th birthday, she opened an envelope and saw a disaster. $28,000 where $420,000 should have been. 23 months later, she called Jason and said, "I'll help you with the down payment on a house." Not him helping her, her helping him. Mary didn't just rebuild her finances. She rebuilt herself. It doesn't matter if you're 35 right now or 55. 3 things you can do today. First, go to SSA.gov and check your benefit estimate. 47 minutes. Second, look at what percentage of your paycheck goes into your 401k and increase it by at least 1%. Third, find out if you have access to an HSA through your employer. Write in the comments which of those 3 steps you'll take first. And if you know someone who, like Mary, trusts but doesn't verify, send them this video. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. Everything said in this video is educational content. It is not financial, tax, or investment advice. Before making any decisions, consult a certified financial planner or tax advisor.